Welcome to REIGNfall, our discussion on topics in great fiction. I'm Josh, and I'm joined by John. So today we're talking about what makes for great dystopia. What's great dystopia fiction? You have your classics like George Orwell's 1984, Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451, and I'm a fan of contemporary picks like The Hunger Games from Susanna Collins. Katniss Everdeen made running from other kids who are sadistically trying to kill you on television much cooler than Arnold Schwarzenegger. But that's
and I skipped that one, and you're being blasphemous.
So that's a whole nother story. Maybe it's another topic. Dystopia fiction, good, bad, and ugly. But we have Margaret Atwood's Handmaid's Tale. We read this a while back, before the 2016 presidential election. But the best fiction is able to make people think about their current situation or current context. It's relevant in any period. So Margaret Atwood's The Handmaid's Tale was written a long time ago. When I read it, I didn't know how old it was, and it felt relevant and current to me and really interesting, even though the publication date, which you have to go find out, was decades ago. And so when Donald Trump was elected president, a lot of people sat here and in their own lens or viewpoint said, holy cow, the world's coming to an end. This is going to be just like The Handmaid's Tale. And so it's really interesting that we have a lot of interesting issues and themes in the book that could come to pass in a real world. It's like close to like how do freedoms erode and how do protections erode, and so people who don't like Trump, because it was a pretty polarizing election, they're like, holy cow, this is scary because these themes, they feel real, and it's just it's people's instincts and opinions, but even the actors who play in the show, they channel that whole fear or that whole tension about the unknown, about what to expect with a new leader of a country. So I thought it was an interesting topic, and I want to focus on the book because the book is awesome.
Yeah, the book is awesome, and it is timely because I think you're right. A lot of people are afraid of that. It's interesting because with the elections of other presidents prior to, the other half of the country was afraid of the same thing. It's really interesting to watch how we work. And something I said when we did our full review of The Handmaid's Tale is that there are already some countries in the world that are living The Handmaid's Tale, right? True, I'm not going to name anything specifically, but we know there are places in the world where women are subjected to this kind of stuff already. And this kind of reaction from the election and the comparisons to The Handmaid's Tale is, I don't know, it's just interesting. I don't really know how to describe it, but you're right. The book itself is about extreme religion. We lose that separation between church and state in this book, right? And that extreme religion takes over, and those women are subjected to basically just be, like sex slaves almost, unless you are wealthy and already married to someone in power.
And it's justified. I mean, the fact that there's a lot of sterility, and then what happens? The president is assassinated, Congress is assassinated. So there's people are scared, and then it becomes a police state. Everything clamps down, and there's some natural calamity that basically scars half the earth. There's these irradiated zones, maybe nuclear fallout, I don't know, and they're called the colonies. And if you are bad, you get sent to the colonies where quality of life is like a third world country or worse. And so,
and you're exposed to all these radioactive things. You're just going to die.
You're going to die slowly and painfully. Yeah. But so it is a future history, right? That's the whole thing. It's like this could be a future history. I love the actual afterword of the book. It's a classroom at a university talking about this period in history, about this people, how they survived, how the state of Gilead was. They thought they were doing the right thing, right, to repopulate humanity, to move the species forward, but it was in this completely inhumane way. So the tale is horrific, right? So people are worried about Trump because he's ruled by his passions, and people think can say all these things about he's not qualified, and that's the thing. There's this element of unknown that they think could immediately we could jump to some horrible future like that, which is which is ridiculous, but it's still interesting to say, hey, look how in this book women lost their rights to have bank accounts and to actually, do anything economically, and they became subservient within one lifetime to their husbands. They became subservient. And it's like, you're like, holy cow. It was awesome because it showed how could you survive in that book. Again, the story itself, I'm glad it's being adapted for TV. I'm glad it's a TV show. There is an older movie, and be forewarned, the trailer from the 1980s with who was it? There's some pretty big actors in it. It's pretty graphic too.
Oh yeah, it had Aidan Quinn, and it had Robert Duvall
as the commander. And so I'm like, they made a movie out of this, and they actually were true to the source material. So it's pretty explicit, not graphic, just really explicit. And that's the nature of the material, because these women are dehumanized, and it's really funny because people are like, oh my goodness, we're living in uncertain times, and I'm laughing about it because you can't make that jump, but you can certainly see how fiction done well, like The Handmaid's Tale, is relevant in any time period, which is again why I love how just the coincidence of timing with the new president and this TV series coming out at the same time.
Yeah,
I can't wait to see how they portray it, because there's a lot of these deep themes, and they gotta get it right, or it's just gonna be another girl stuck in a house story.
Actually, it's almost shaped up perfectly, and actually, I can see how they're making the leap. Okay, now if you are on the side that did not vote for Trump. Okay, because we were almost split down the middle with this.
Yeah.
During the debates and things, some of the key things that were being discussed against him were, do you want him to have his finger on the nuclear button? Right? So nuclear war came up during these debates. It's not a surprise to me that they made this leap. So again, if you voted for him, you're probably like, yeah, whatever. If you didn't vote for him, yes, these fears are probably very real to you, because he's got a vice president that's a very religious man, right? They talked about the nuclear button a whole lot, and then you read The Handmaid's Tale. So if you're scared about super religious people and you're scared about nuclear war, those two elements are exactly what were at play here. It really doesn't surprise me that.
Why'd you put them together like that, man? Super religious people aren't nuke happy.
I didn't put anything together. I know that's what came up during these debates during the presidential race.
Yeah. Those are topical issues in the book. But I highly recommend reading the book before the series comes out in April.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a great book.
And just really look at about how what I thought what was the most compelling part. In a single generation, our country fell apart, and this new reality seems like it could exist. That's the cool thing. It seems like a future history. It's not.
Well, I would say it's the cool thing. But it was funny in the book when you had like Japanese tourists coming over and like snapping pictures, because it's like a zoo,
Oh my goodness, I forgot about that. You're
Remember
right.
That? It was. These women were on display in this
Holy cow.
cage.
Yeah, that makes it even more twisted. The fact that it's the new norm and it's accepted. It's kind of like you said. We want to help other nation states right now who are dealing with dictators, and you can only do so much. So if Gilead is powerful and they're still kind of like this superpower of sorts, I don't know what their status in the international arena is, but they still have a lot of the world's wealth. Yeah, you're not going to tell them, no, you can't do this, right? And that's the thing. The old democratic system fell away and died because of these extreme fundamentalists. But it's not like we lost our power. Maybe the whole world's in this state of disrepair,
they used the cataclysmic event to seize power. That was the interesting thing at the beginning of the book, right? This happened because of the way things were, okay? And then this ultra religious group came in and said, "No, we're taking over. You guys ruined it," and they instituted a ultra as religious law.
They call it a theocracy. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yes, theocracy. My words fail me.
No, that's cool. We haven't spoiled any of the plot of the book. The story,
No.
The story focuses on Offred. She's the central character and the protagonist, and how they live in this society now. So, highly recommend it. Go check it out. And the TV series is going to be on Hulu. A lot of people have fixated. Oh no, it's on Hulu. Who watches Hulu? Well, that's okay. I'm gonna watch it for this show. But thanks for joining us on REIGNfall, where we talk about topics in great fiction. Notably science fiction and fantasy, because that's our thing. Thanks for joining us. We'll catch you next time.